I'm going to talk about three things. One is they asked me to talk about my story, so I will a bit. And then I'm going to talk about the Charter for Compassion and then the International Campaign for Compassionate Cities. Then I'm going to talk about you. I'm from, if you can see up there, I'm from the northwest corner of the United States in Seattle. It rains there a lot. We're identified when we come across the border into Britain. They make us take off our shoes and look at the webbing to confirm that, between our toes, to confirm that we're from Seattle. So I'm going to start a little bit. The most difficult part is about my background, which is not about awards or anything else. It's about quite a bit of difficulty in high school, in schools. The fact that nobody was stupid enough to get into a fight with me, because I would cream everybody that even came near me. And I was very hostile. If I would come to something like this, I would cross my arms and say, I'm not having any part of this. This is stupid. And I was very resentful, and I had something of a hard time. And I think it got its start from this. This is a famous photograph that was distributed out throughout the United States in the newspapers in the start of World War II for the United States, which was later then for Britain, of an American GI in the Mojave Desert. It's so hot there that he could fry eggs on the skin of the tank, and there he is, and you can see the eggshells and so on. This is in the American War College. This man is my father. And my father went to war in North Africa. He came to Britain and was in Europe, and he brought the war home. What we now know as post-traumatic stress disorder, and he brought it home, and I fought World War II in my house, and I have the wounds on me to prove it. As a result of that, and I think you can see in this picture in his face, really tough Irish guy, and you did not mess with him, you could die. And I came close to it a number of times. And I'm not going to go into the details of that, but in later life, I felt so badly about what had happened to him, and what happened to me was not nearly as bad as what happened to him. And then this is a picture. I'm the fellow on the right. Notice the hands. I am ready for combat, and I'm ready to have whatever happened to me. And it was only after I was treated for post-traumatic stress disorder myself, which took 8 years, and I didn't know you could be a human being and not have nightmares every night. I assumed everybody did. And when I found out that you could sleep through the night, I couldn't wait to go to bed. I thought that was so cool. You wouldn't have nightmares. You wouldn't wake up with your fist going like this, saying, you need to hit him here, because that'll crush his larynx, and he'll die, and he'll quit trying to hit you. Okay? And so I did that from an early age, and that's how I got to be fairly resentful in school. I didn't like people. I didn't like being alive. I didn't like being a teenager. I didn't like all the social cliques. I didn't like anything. And I'll talk about 3 questions that human beings ask that lead to that. So I found a way to get back at people legally from the air. And as a teenager, actually, I was 15 years old when I began to train as a fighter pilot. And I was a cadet in Civil Air Patrol, which is a civilian auxiliary of the U.S. Air Force. And I found a calling I could really do. I couldn't wait. And guess what my job was? My job was, I was training to do armored interdiction. I was a tank killer. Do you remember the first slide with my father on the tank? Not good news. So later on, I resigned from doing that. I became a rock and roller, not the good-looking, respectable human being you see now. This is my post-rock and roll period where I actually got some of my hair cut and so on. But I was, everybody in my band was cute except me. I was the one who was very angry all the time. And pounding on a guitar was a really great way to get it out. I wasn't particularly good. You know, I just like playing. This is a photograph, a recent one of my older brother, Keith, who did time at the Shelton Correctional Center and later the Mill Creek Correction Center in Salem, Oregon, who's been just wonderful to me, even from prison. He would be very supportive of me. And so when you think about these credentials I have the National Public Health Award and all this kind of stuff. It's not the whole story. So now this is me. That's actually if you would look at that picture rather than this, it's quite a bit nicer. Well, I have a grandson, and he says, "Papa Ari, you're old." I said, "You're short." You're short. Old is when you can't trash your grandkids. I can trash your little butt anytime I want. And he just goes like, "Let's go, dude." It's just like, I wake up in the morning, I'm going, God, the guy's 6 feet. He's like a side of beef. And it's like, oh, man, really bad. And this is one of the awards I got, which was Peacemaker of the Year. And there's something redemptive about this. There's a type of getting even when I was so ticked off in high school and I had such a hard time to take what I'd learned, to take all that business of being in that trial of being a teenager and turning it and putting it to use. And when people told me, who do you think you are, which I'll talk about in a minute, I think I'm the guy that can do it. And I happen to think you're the people that can do it too. So that's what we'll talk about that. So that's, I will, if you want to talk more about the details of my sordid youth later, I'll do it privately, but I understand we're being video recorded and I want to keep my job, so. Okay. So the Charter for Compassion, which is a wonderful document that was done by, really championed by Britain's Karen Armstrong. She lives here in London. It's a good friend. She won the TED Prize. You all know the TED Talks online? Yeah, she won the $100,000 TED Prize for this dream. And the Charter is really the foundation of things like the Compassionate Action Network International, where I built with my team the International Campaign for Compassionate Cities, and for just a lot of groups. I chair the International Working Group on compassionate organizations. Now, we need to have an agreement. I should have got this in the first place. Don't be telling people about that. I got this sordid past. Tell him that he's really cool and he's got awards. He must be really something, So they know about it, so you don't have to worry about that. There are more than 90,000 people have signed the Charter, and you can do that online. It doesn't take anything. It just basically says, I support this business of compassion toward other human beings. And it really has inspired many efforts, and I mentioned one was the Compassionate Cities campaign, which I'll talk about shortly, CAN International, and then, of course, our International Working Group, which I just talked about. So the Compassionate Cities campaign, we had, Karen came out and spoke with us in Seattle, and our city decided that it would adopt compassion as a core value in the city, and we'd try and create a culture of compassion. We're sort of a radical city. A lot of parts of the United States disown us, think we're part of Canada. And they say, you guys are a bunch of tree huggers, and you started Earth Day, and you started all this recycling and all this kind of stuff, and you're a bunch of rebellious people and so forth. Well, we decided to do this, make Seattle a compassionate city, and we thought it would stop there, but we began getting calls from all over the world, and as a result, now the CAN International certifies cities. They meet requirements to become a compassionate city, and we now have 7 certified, and we have over 75 candidates throughout the world that are working on that. And there's going to be some discussion during this conference that starts tomorrow, Empathy and Compassion in Society, about London becoming a compassionate city. And that's where the temperament of what that culture is, you begin introducing this idea into it. And certainly it's something that can be introduced into high school. I'm trying to assign all the places like Omaha, Nebraska to my colleagues, and then places like London and New Delhi to me, because I think I'd just be better if they went to Omaha or to Houston or something, yeah. So this question about who do you think you are, has anybody ever had somebody say that to you? I don't know, do they say that in Britain? Who do you think you are? Well, maybe you should point out to them that you're really something quite remarkable. There are 3 questions which are basic questions, but if you want to be in consulting and do talks like this, you need to learn words like ontological. Cool, huh? There are 3 ontological questions. My IQ just went up, half a point. Something like that. And they are that all human beings ask in one form or another. And the first one is, who or what am I? Who am I? Who am I? And what I took out of my childhood is, I'm garbage that needs to fight for his life. And that's how I saw the world. And then the next obvious question is, what's the nature of the world? When I was younger, the nature of the world was pure evil. People here were trying to kill me. I didn't like the world. I hated being in the world. That obviously has changed a wee bit. And the last question is, what's my place in it? So how you answer those questions. Who am I? And when you say, well, I'm a student, or I'm African heritage, that it could be, but what you really are, either a son or daughter of humanity. And you can pretty much use that creative force that you were born with to do marvelous things. When I walked through the doors of the United Nations to give my talk there, I'm from White Center in South Seattle. It's called Rat City because the rats outpopulate the human beings. We used to kill them. I'm sorry about this. We used to kill them with bow and arrows at the dump. Yeah, my IQ just went down. And you know, as you answer those questions, and we're going to have a wonderful talk about the brain and neuroscience, you can actually change your brain so that the answer to those questions begin to change. And what I changed mine to is I'm one of the sons of humanity. I've got a place I can use what happened to me and turn it on itself. It's the greatest way of getting even. When my father died, he was badly wounded in World War II and carried a lot of shrapnel. He was at Providence Hospital in Seattle. I walked in, and he was pulling the IVs out of himself. And I said, if I catch you doing that again, I'm going to have you put in restraints. And he still scared me. He weighed about 80 pounds. And it just scared the dickens out of me. And he said, any man who do to his children what I've done to you should die painfully and slowly. I said, any man who's done to his children what you did and had the things happen to him that would drive that is going to die in comfort and go back into the arms of the thing that created him. And my father wept. I'd never seen him weep. And he turned to me and he said, you know, this has been going on for a long time. And I said, I thought it had, you know, for generations. And he said, yeah, at least since the hunger, which is the famine in Irish, which drove my family into the United States. And he said, somebody ought to do something about this. And I was, excuse the term, pissed. Here's this man dying. What kind of life did he have? I was angry. And I looked at him and I said, you go ahead and die. I'll take care of this. I was mad. I'm still working on the promise. So what's my place in it is to find a type of redemption, make sense of what happened by going back and working with these wonderful people who I'm so overjoyed to work with that I gush a wee bit too much. I'll get over that after I know them for another hour or so, I hope. And to be in the presence of people such as you, to do that. So, what else have I got in here? Oh, so it had to do with where I put my focus. What is my intention? What do I intend to do? Do I intend to be pissed off for the rest of my life? I overheard somebody say, you know, Ari's only been angry once, from about 4 seconds after he was born until now. I said, it's really that bad? And he says, no, it's actually worse. Well, I'm not that way. I'm really a lovely person at this point. And then where you put your attention, and this has to do with the neuroscience. What in your brain is firing? Where are you putting your attention? Your brain is being changed right now. That's all we do. It's always changing. It's doing that type of work. So I'm going to actually finish up on time. It is an age of miracles. I brought the boss with me. So the last thing I'd like to say is to thank you. One is that I wish I could explain what happens when I despair about being a human being, all the crazy things that are happening in the war and the famine and so on. When I despair, all I have to do is remember this moment and the faces that I've seen here. And then I go, I think we're going to be all right. And we got a bit of work to do, but I think we're going to be all right. And I am thankful for you, for your presence, for your attention, and you voted with your feet. You're here to talk about empathy and compassion. That is sublimely moving to me. And I just thank you so much for being here and for having the courtesy to laugh at my crummy jokes and to be patient with me. Thank you so much.